Okay, today's topic is about 5 steps process to get what you want. I'm going to go through, this is actually derived from a guy named Ray Dalio. If you haven't, are you guys familiar with him by any chance? Sometimes he's on CNBC, but he's got a book called Principles. And going through his book, actually, I went through every single exercise. I teach about goal setting, but he went through beyond the next level, actually, which is kind of pretty cool. So there's 5 different process or different steps. Normally, we use the SMART method. The SMART method is simply, it is specific, is measurable, is achievable, is resource-oriented, and it's time frame. Ray Dalio, on the other hand, went through a different level where he went through very more specific steps. First one is, of course, you need to have clear goals. So to make it more fun in terms of this workshop, I want you just to write down one clear goal that you want to achieve for 2019. Okay, one clear goal that you want to achieve, especially in trading for 2019. For example, if inconsistency is a major issue, then I want to have consistent results, consistent results in my trading for 2019. Yes. That's right, Jeff. It's a highly recommended reading. I definitely agree. Okay, so have clear goals. What would it be for 2019? When you're finished, let me know. By the way, you should have your trading journal with you. So trading journal for me is something like this. So I have a little notebook. I have 2 books actually that I basically write regards to my thoughts. So for example, here I don't know if you can see it here, December 12th, and I'm writing through like, I am trustworthy, I trust myself, I am confident, I'm responsible. Today I'm going to focus on making money. I feel confident today, and you can see here the dollar CAD looks very good to short based on an M3 on my own methodology. US oil looks good to hold and bullish. Okay, so those are the things that I do right. Then on my other journal, depending, is also my plan on how I could improve basically my teaching environment in regards to trading and also through sport. Yeah, so here's also an example in 2018 from the very beginning. So here, it's the beginning of the new year of 2018. So I'm also doing the same process in regards to planning. 2017, I had my inconsistent, like it's in terms of right here, procrastination. So 2018 is to take action. Okay, so these are the things that it's highly recommend. All right, once you're done, number 2, I want you to identify and don't tolerate the problems that stand in the way of achieving your goals. Step 3, you accurately diagnose the problems to get at the root causes. And in step 4, to design plans that will get you around them. And last but not the least, step number 5 is to do what's necessary to push these designs through to results. All right, let's go through the first one, having clear goals. So now that you've written what one goal that you want to achieve for 2019, first prioritize. So while you can have virtually anything you want, you can't have everything you want. So what does he mean by this? So choosing a goal often means rejecting some things you want in order to get other things that you want or need even more. Some people fail at this point before they're even started, afraid to reject a good alternative for a better one. They try to pursue too many goals at once, achieving few or none of them. Don't get discouraged, and don't let yourself be paralyzed by all the choices. You can have much more than what you need to be happy. Make your choice and get on with it. All right, so if you have a lot of different goals for 2019, I just want you to create one and stick to that one until you achieve it. Okay. Alrighty. So I'll give you about a minute or two. If you're just coming in, welcome. And the first step is to have clear goals. And if you came in late, I'm deriving this step process from Ray Dalio's principle, okay, in regards to creating a proper goal in order for you and what you want to achieve for 2019. And by the way, this also works not just in trading, but in every, I believe, in any area what you wanted to achieve. Okay, let me know when you're finished. And then B says, don't confuse goals with desires. What does it mean? Well, a proper goal is something that you really need to achieve. So there's the difference between needing and as a necessity. So he states that desires are things that you want that can prevent you from reaching your goals. Okay, that's a desire. Typically, desires are first order consequences. For example, your goal might be physically fit, it's about fitness, while your desire is to eat good tasting but unhealthy food. Don't get me wrong, if you want to be a couch potato, that's fine with me. You can pursue whatever goals you want. But if you don't want to be a couch potato, then you better not open that bag of chips. So how can we relate this to trading? Well, I'll just share with you in terms of my experience, which happened more than once basically this year. In terms of opportunities. So the goal is, my weekly goal is to make at least a minimum 2 to 3% on a weekly basis. Now, if I don't achieve that goal, the question is why? Every Friday for us, we have a performance-based class, right? It's a group coaching class. So one of the major challenges, I believe, not just me, but everyone else, but I'm just going to share with you in terms of my experience, is simply procrastination. The majority of the time when volatility hits is approximately between 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, when 8:30 comes along, when there's news comes into play. News happens, and high impact news almost every day, pretty much almost 200 days a week, 200 days a year, right? So when there's FOMC or there's CPI, there's PPI, it normally happens around 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I believe that's around 4 or 5 in the morning, maybe Sydney time. But nevertheless, if I don't put my alarm, or sometimes put my alarm, you wake up and it's like, oh, okay, I'll deal with it later. The brain will think that way. So rather than waking up and going to the computer screen and trade to the report, because that's an opportunity. The markets, unfortunately, do not wait for us, right? In most cases, it doesn't wait for me. And hence, it leads to a negative emotion of regret. So what does it mean by in regards to don't confuse goals with desire? Well, my goal is to make 2 to 3%. Now, the desire of making money is in there, but on the other hand, there's also a conflict of where the procrastination basically happens. Okay, so be aware with that one. So that's why don't confuse your goals with desires. If you choose to procrastinate and sleep in, hey, look, accept it, admit it, acknowledge it that you want to sleep in. However, if you're not aware of that, on the other hand, that it will lead into regret or some form of lack of integrity, and then the spiral motion of negative emotion basically happens. So put your hands up or say yes if you have the same experience or if you've experienced that. Now, if you're new to the trading game, maybe you want to have experience of that, but if you're in the game and you've been trading more regularly and you're trading either part-time or full-time and you're dealing with money, hey, we do the same thing, okay? So for me to do that, in actual fact, that's why it's imperative to have your, where's my, your notes and part of your affirmations, things that going back to your value systems of responsibility. I am responsible because I'm a full-time trader. What's my job is to be quote unquote responsible today. All right, so those are the things that you need to focus on. Number 3, C, decide what you really in life, reconciling your goals and your desires. So what does he make that? Well, take passion, for example. Without passion, life would be dull. You wouldn't want to live without it. But what's key is what you do with your passion. Do you let it consume you or drive you to your irrational acts? Or do you harness it to motivate and drive you while you pursue your real goals? What will ultimately fulfill you are things that feel right at both levels, as both desires and goals. Okay, so likewise, when it comes to your trading, what do you really want in order for you to have your goals to be met and your desire? At the end of the day, why do we trade? Why do we trade, guys? We trade to make money. Agree or disagree? Now, if that's not your goal and your goal is to create systems, then you're in the wrong area in terms of career for trading. And that means then that your goal is to create systems and sell that system. Then don't trade, okay? That's a totally different ballgame. On the other hand, if you trade because you want to make money, then this is where you have to stick to your own set of rules stringently, very, very strict. You need to have that discipline in order to follow your own set of rules. All right. C, don't mistake the trappings of success for success itself. Achievement orientation is important, but people who obsess over, say, a $1,200 pair of shoes or a fancy car are very rarely happy because they don't know what it is that they really want and hence what will satisfy them. So how can we relate that to trading? So if you are in the business of perfectionism, then you're gonna struggle in trading. If you are in a business of saying, well, I'm only going to do a condition if this condition will be met, then I will see myself as being successful. Okay, so those are the conditions sometimes that we put into ourselves that, hey, look, if I win 3 in a row, then I'm going to be confident. If I make $200, then I see myself as being successful trader. So all these things is on the opposite end, rather than seeing yourself as a successful person, rather than having an X amount of a result and measure your success based on your having. Any questions with that? So please as well let me know if I'm going too fast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. You can unmute yourself and you can ask a question, okay? Because since you have the ability to, if you have a mic as well, and you can.
Ray, can you please go over this again?
Yes, please, Bob. I'm sorry, you want me to go it again? So number
yes.
What you want in life, represent your goals and your desires. So, I'm sorry, don't mistake the trappings of success for success itself. So in most cases, we measure our own level of success. We measure our own level of confidence based on the result that we want to attain. For example, I'm only going to see myself as a confident, successful trader if I made $1,000 this week. I'm only going to be confident if I've won 3 in a row. So notice that you're measuring your level of success. You're measuring your level of value, whether that would be confidence, whether that would be discipline, integrity, and so forth, based on the result that you're going to make for yourself, rather than seeing yourself as being successful, seeing yourself as being confident, seeing yourself as being disciplined, being responsible within that process. That's why Ray Dalio basically said here, achievement orientation is important, but people who obsess over a $1,200 pair of shoes or a fancy car are very rarely happy, because they don't know what it is that they really want and hence what will satisfy them. So if you're satisfied from within and you project that outward, then you're going to be happy no matter what. Unfortunately, people sometimes who are not aware, who just don't know that they don't know, it is the outside in that if they have the nice shoes, the nice car, then they will see it as that they're happy. So the question is, what happens when you have the nice shoes and the nice car, the nice house? Is it interesting that sometimes you still feel empty? Have you experienced that before? That if you have an idea, oh, I want that beautiful car, I want that beautiful dress, I want that beautiful pants, I want that game. You purchase it, you play with it, you wear it, you drive it, and then what? If you know where I'm getting at. So likewise with trading, once you've won, and then what? Does it make you satisfied because you won it, you proved to yourself that you're an awesome trader? Will it make you happy if you've won? Or will it make you happy from within, that if you are truly happy within yourself, you're confident in yourself, and you follow the whole process, and guess what? You can do and repeat it over and over again. Right? This is why never measure your level of value systems based on the outer environment of the end result. I hope I answered your question there, Bella.
Yes, right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Jeff? Tilo? Warren? Cool. Alrighty. Nothing. Good. Okay. E. Never rule out a goal because you think it's unattainable. I like this one. Be audacious. There is always the best possible path. Your job is to find it and have the courage to follow it. What you think is attainable is just a function of what you know at the moment. So once you start your pursuit, you will learn a lot, especially if you triangulate with others. Paths you never saw before will emerge. Of course, there are some impossibilities or near impossibilities, such as a playing center or professional basketball team if you're short, or running a 4-minute mile at age 70. So in other words, create goals that are realistic, based on your skill set, based on your knowledge, based on the amount of capital that you may have. So make it this way. If your knowledge and skill set is either novice or intermediate, and you are trading 100 and you have a capital of $100,000, and you are a person who are a risk taker, how fast do you think that capital will go?
Go down the drain or go up towards what you're aiming for?
So if your knowledge and skill set is novice to intermediate, and level experience is not as much, you don't practice enough, and then all of a sudden you take part of your mortgage or your savings and you put it, say, I'm going to start, I feel confident, I'm ready, here's $100,000 in terms of capital, and then you don't have a plan and you're trading for the sake of trading. How fast do you think that will go?
Fast.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another scenario. If you are desperate and you have a trading capital of $1,000 or $5,000, even $500, and you want to make money very quickly, would you be able to meet your goal by making money consistently?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Right? Because you're under pressure to perform. So if you are in a learning environment, it doesn't matter whether if you are learning from a book, learning from a workshop, learning from a class-based self-learning, your job is to learn. Your job is not to trade. Yes, the goal is to make money while you're learning, but at the same time, though, is to accept that you're a student, that you're going to make a lot of mistakes at the very beginning, and that mistakes is part of the learning environment, and that if you've learned more than what you have gained, then in my opinion, you are basically ahead out of everybody. Okay, so unfortunately, sometimes people are perfectionists. They are either too hard on themselves and they focus too much on making money, they don't last because they are in the process of a mindset of making money, but in a mindset of learning. Okay, so I mean, this year I've learned a lot too more about myself and learned a lot more about my trading. Okay, so these are the process, the things that we always constantly keep on working on, right? So like not just discipline, but also the ability to get rid of that ego and not to be right. That's the times that I lose when I'm righteous based on my own perception. Going back to pure objectivity is challenging. And the reason being is if you're not aware of it, then every thought process comes into play that becomes very subjective and believing that you're right, boom. And that's what happens. Next thing you know, you're making mistakes or you're hanging on to a losing trade and you don't want to do that. Alrighty. Any question? You guys experienced that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you describe like a process to maybe let go of the ego when you notice it? I mean, because what I feel like one thing is not noticing that your ego is stepping in the way,
Yep.
but then like when you start to notice that it is stepping in the way, how do you, I guess, set a process to move it out of the way so you can get out of your own way, I guess.
Yes, that's why the TCL that you guys have, the trading checklist, is always a reminder of your emotionality, the way how you think, your thought process from top to bottom. There's always those questions, right? And then going back to your analysis, going back to the basics, and going back to the macros, going back to looking at it. Okay, who's in control? The bulls, the bears, right? What's up and coming news? So what is the trend? So all of these things are based on your TCL. That's why those TCLs, in my opinion, are very important. If I don't follow the TCL either on my part, bam, I'll make mistakes left, right, and center, and I'm no longer starts with M, meticulous, right? So as well, when it comes to the ego, on the other hand, is simply, am I sticking out to my own righteousness? So you ask those questions. Go back to the beginner level in terms of trading psychology 101. So do you have the top-down analysis aspect in terms of the thought process? Why am I feeling this? What am I feeling right now? Okay, great. I'm feeling righteous. And you'll know what to do. You'll answer it yourself anyway. Okay, I'm being righteous. I can feel, I know that it's going to go the other way. What am I going to do? I close the position. So it is that monkey mind that plays a lot and plays a lot of trick actually within our own selves, which is kind of irritating, right? But if you can identify that monkey mind, letting that go, then you can go back to the root source with having that no longer with that or being egoless. I'll answer your question there, Tilo.
Yeah, I kind of got that. Just starting to recognize the monkey mind, I guess,
Yes,
helps identify just that ego stepping in the way, and then I kind of got to get around it, work
exactly.
through it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because the monkey mind sometimes we say like, oh, I don't feel like doing it right now. Like, and that's where how procrastination happens. I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. Or the distraction. There's a four-step process as part of what the human mind basically does. First step is you have a thought. Within that thought is an intention. So part of that thought or the idea is to, and the intent is to say, for example, to trade, to make money. And then you have attention. You have the attention span to focus on that intention based on that thought. And all of a sudden, the monkey mind comes into play, or there's going to be some form of distraction. So what is distracting you to have the attention part of your intent of your thought? And then if you can identify that distraction, then it leads back to attention. And then from the attention goes to the end result. It's a loophole. And
Yeah,
so
I think
now
you
what I've,
mentioned the book on that.
yeah, and what I've done is because you have social media, right? You have,
Hmm.
what's the number one distraction? Facebook. What's the second distraction? Could be, oh, research shows the other distraction is people watch porn. Okay, that's the other one. 3, another distraction aside from social media, watching porn, is also emails, watching videos, uh, news. So making phone calls, all these type of things is a form of distraction. So what I've done in terms of the process is simply I created an alarm, an alert system on my phone and actually in the computer itself. And then there's a time clock that if, say, for example, I need to create a blog, I need to create articles. And that's what I haven't done actually all this year, is to be consistent in regards to my writing of articles. And so if I can do it within 30 minutes and I can write 2 articles in 1 hour, then awesome. And also to organize and schedule my daily schedule to create like from the morning daily routine, from an exercise, reading a book sometime during the day for an hour, meditating sometime during the day for at least close to 20 minutes or half an hour, practicing trading for about at least 10 to 20 minutes. So by creating all of those, and you're timing it, all of a sudden you don't have any form of distraction. Getting rid of any form of distraction, like, having tabs, Facebook tabs, email tabs, all the type of stuff, get rid of it. Putting your phone on mute if you're doing something. So very important to do so. I hope that helped in regards to an exercise that you guys can implement as well. Any questions?
I'm solid.
All right, great. Next one is never rule out a goal because you think it's sorry. And the last one, remember that great expectation create great capabilities. Here is that if you limit your goals to what you know you can achieve, you're setting the bar way too low. So what I want you now to create actually for 2019 is I want you to create a bigger goal. What would that be? So for example, I'm going to share mine is to make $1 million or more for 2019 with no excuses from my trading, just pure profits. Okay, so that's my goal. Then actually my daughter came in and changed that 1 million to 2 million. Okay, so interesting in terms of her thought process as well, because she's also very competitive. Say, hey, Dad, why only make $1 million if you can make 2? Well, I said $1 million or more. And I said, okay. So I take that in consideration. It's to create something that is attainable, and at the same time go beyond on what you can attain. Okay, don't limit yourself. Any questions with that? Okay, G, almost nothing can stop you from succeeding if you have A, flexibility, and B, here we go, self-accountability. So flexibility is what allows you to accept what reality or knowledgeable people teaches you. Self-accountability is essential because if you really believe that failing to achieve a goal is your personal failure, you will see your failing to achieve it as indicative that you haven't been creative or flexible or determined enough to do what it takes. And you will be that much more motivated to find the way. All right, any feedback, thoughts based on G?
Excuse me, Ray, when you say flexibility, what do you mean by flexibility?
He states that flexibility is what allows you to accept what reality teaches you. So in terms of what is real right for you right now.
Oh, okay.
What is the reality in terms of your situation? And self-accountability is that you're accountable for your own actions, that if you make mistakes, the question is, are you accepting it or not accepting it? Are you going to be accountable for that? So if you made a loss, are you accountable for your losses? Are you going to take responsibility for that? And then the question now is, how can you make it better? What is the solution to your problem?
Okay, got it. Thanks.
All right. H is knowing how to deal well with your setbacks is as important as knowing how to move forward. I believe this is also one of the most important ones. Sometimes you know that you are going over a waterfall and there is no way to avoid it. Life will throw you such challenges, some of which will seem devastating at the time. In bad times, your goal might be to keep what you have, to minimize your rate of loss, or simply to deal with a loss that is irrevocable. Your mission is to always make the best possible choices, knowing that you will be rewarded if you do. August was a terrible month for me. I had a big loss based on the euro US dollar because of righteousness, not following my intuitive process. I got into the euro US dollar, wasn't doing well, was working sideways, and then bam, it dropped despite knowing already intuitively that it's going to fail, it's going to drop. What did I do? I hang into the trade. Funny enough, it's a repetition. And the question now is why it keeps repeating. Same thing. I was 20% up for the month of December, and I got into oil. Rather than me taking the profit at 80, 20%, 80-20 rule, I have that 80-20 rule. I disobeyed my own rule, 80-20 rule, because objectively, see that this is now my justification. Objectively, it was beautiful. We have a bullish bar. It is going to go further up. Bigger time frame, on the other hand, it was bearish. Objectively wise, there is more room in order for the price to go further. However, my instinct is basically said, hey, look, the price is a level supply. It is very bullish. Take some money out, 80%, at least 80% of the profits. And if it goes beyond, then great. But if it doesn't want to go beyond, then close the position and then short. What did it do? Shorter term time frame. It created a beautiful method 2. I didn't take my profit. And I said, well, bigger time is still really good. But it didn't happen that way. A lot of news occurred, and see, these are the things that despite the methodology and it's giving you the perfect entry point, we don't have any control with the news. Trump said a lot of stuff after FOMC, and then you had a lot of issues basically on the trade, and then government shutdown and stuff, and that affected basically oil. So oil kept dropping, right? So if I close out positions and then shorted it, so from $53.60, it went actually to 54, and now oil dropped to $43 in a span of 1 week, or a week and a half. So what did I do? Hang on to it, got stopped out, so the profit became now a loss. So no go. So these are the things that we will always experience. It's a setback. Yes, it's a setback. The question is, am I identifying that setback that happened in the past? So what is now the solution? Solution is to really have stringent rules that I also have to follow within my own value of integrity, own value of discipline. And everybody, like, at the end of the day, we're not perfect. We can only do the best as we can. And the awareness of our own self. Right? So that's my experience. So perhaps you've experienced as well in the past. The question now is, what can we do about it? Unfortunately, traders who don't know that they don't know certain things, it's a repetitive, simply behavior, a pattern, and they don't know that they have that pattern. But since we have the tools, will it come back? Yes. Will it keep recurring? Absolutely. As long as we are aware of it and we keep working on it, then this is where we can go to the next level basically from there, okay, to some moving and knowing how to move forward. Any questions based from there? Can you relate to what I'm saying? So maybe perhaps there's also something that you also need to look at within your own trading environment. Any questions, feedback? Nothing? Awesome.
Nope, sounds good.
All right, next is step 2 is to identify and don't tolerate problems. What do you say? He cut it down that more into 2, 4, 6 different steps. Is having the view painful problems as potential improvements that are screaming at you. So it is a common mistake to move in a nanosecond from identifying a tough problem to proposing a solution for it. Strategic thinking requires both diagnosis and design. A good diagnosis typically takes between 15 minutes and an hour, depending on how well it's done and how complex the issue is. It involves speaking with the relevant people and looking at the evidence together to determine the root causes. Like principles, root causes manifest themselves over and over again in seemingly different situations. Finding them and dealing with them pays dividends again and again. In my opinion, this is where coaching makes a big difference. Getting coaching done, talking to someone else in regards to the issues that you don't know. So in other words, the 180 degrees is behind us. This is the advantage in regards to members who regularly come into class, so you can be able to see exactly objectively on what's happening. Now, here's the issue, on the other hand, with members. It is the inconsistency of members giving their homework. Because number one, I don't know. Either number one, they make excuses within themselves that I'm not going to do it, or tomorrow, let's do it tomorrow. Or number two, it's just a procrastination. But if you don't know how to fix it, then what is the solution to that? Is through coaching, right? If you have an issue with your trading, remember that if you made a mistake, the question is, how are you going to fix that mistake? Remember, you don't see yourself. That's why those TCLs for me are very important. And this year, I don't know, it's so inconsistent. Maybe 1 or 2 I've received if I go through all my emails. Probably I've never received a single TCL. Probably it's for 2018 for this year. Only a few, but not regularly to where it's supposed to be. Imagine if you have done 100 of those on a regular basis. It creates a great habit. You will be able to know exactly. Imagine you come to, or if they did come to the group coaching classes more often. Imagine if they ask more questions during class just to get all that. My coaching is being done. I'm a part of a group because I'm also keep upgrading my certification with neuro-linguistic programming. NLP, in my opinion, is the best one in my own opinion, because we go through the source, and I'm in a group of NLP practitioners. I ask questions as well if I have any challenges, either with myself or within my business. It doesn't matter with my coaching trading business or my coaching sports business. So it is important for me as well to be coached, or to at least know what's happening 180 degrees that I don't see. That's why if you have issues that is currently painful to you and it keeps recurring, then what are you going to do about it? So you can't ignore them, right? Very important. Jeffrey, I don't know where you're at when it comes to your trading. Warren, same thing. You know, if you don't have a coach, it's very imperative, in my opinion, to get one, because you just don't know what you don't know, right? And it's imperative to address those issues, your weaknesses, in order to make it a strength. 2, don't avoid confronting problems because they are rooted in harsh realities that are unpleasant to look at. See, there it is. Don't avoid confronting problems because they are rooted in harsh realities that are unpleasant to look at. He said here, thinking about problems that are difficult to solve may make you anxious, but not thinking about them, and hence not dealing with them, should make you more anxious still. So if you have anxiety, or you feel some form of fear or self-doubt, is because you are not addressing the actual problem itself. Sometimes people will sugarcoat it, sometimes will ignore it, but they're not really dealing with it. What would be a good example, the responsibility to look after your trades, the responsibility to manage your trades. I believe this is a very big thing in terms of managing one's trade. To manage one's trade, just imagine the value that you need, the value of responsibility, the value of focus, the value of motivation, the value of commitment. Sometimes when you're in a losing trade, it's so easy to avoid it rather than to really look into it and manage it. I've done that as well this year where, oh my God, dang it, that's now I'm down 1%, 100 pips. So rather than addressing the actual pain, is I ignore it and I'm going to let it ride to the stop loss rather than closing it there and there very quickly, because deep down inside it is going to go even further. So those are the challenges or issues that I need to address. So the question is for you is simply, if I want you to go back to your performance in 2018, what are the things in terms of your weakness that you need to address? Not tomorrow, but today after this workshop, this weekend. Mind you, I believe this is a perfect time for reflection because Christmas, New Year, it is a long week and the markets are not as volatile. The market will become volatile after this January 2 or January 3, actually. Okay. Any questions with that? Nothing? Next is be specific in identifying your problems. So you need to be precise because different problems have different solutions. If a problem is due to inadequate skill, then get trained, guys, okay? Additional training may be called for. So sometimes it's people's one's own, what I call them is hard-headedness is what stops them. The people who says, I know. The I know it all people. It limits them. And be careful with that. If you're one of those, oh yeah, I know, yeah, I know that. Be careful of that thought, because once you start saying that, you know, even though you don't know, maybe because you just want to look good, because you want to be righteous, because of the ego coming in, because you're very competitive, it will limit you. I was talking to a tennis coach. He used to represent Mexico, and he competed actually professionally, played with McEnroe and so forth. And as a coach, he said the same thing. He goes like, yeah, if I have a kid, he says, yeah, I know. This is now we have a problem. And I know that athlete is going to struggle because they already know it all. Funny enough, also when I do teach, or if I have presentations, you say, yeah, I know. I'm on the opposite side though. I will not focus on that person because they already know it all. Because if that belief system of a person is already strong, and it doesn't matter how many times that you say it, no matter how many times that you will teach them, and they say, I know, the belief is so strong that there's no point actually teaching that person because they already know. So we call it the I know it all person. If a problem stems from someone else's weakness, replace them with someone who is strong where it's needed. That's just the way it is. D, don't mistake the cause of a problem with the real problem. Quote, I can't get enough sleep, unquote, is not a problem. It is a potential cause or perhaps the result of a problem. So to clarify your thinking, identify the bad outcome first. So for example, I am performing poorly in my job and thinking that I'm performing poorly with my trading. Not sleeping enough may be the cause of that problem. Or the cause may be something else, maybe some form of an issue, some form of a worry that creates some form of anxiousness that you don't sleep. Okay? That now results to a poor performance to your trading. Not eating right. I'm going to do as well. I keep saying that as part of my goal is to have a workshop in terms of nutrition and fitness. meditation. So, but in order to determine that, you need to know exactly what the problem is. So identifying the root cause is very important in regards to the major issue of why your performance or the lack of performance that is. E, distinguish big problems from small ones. You only have so much time and energy. Make sure you are investing them in exploring the problems that, if fixed, will yield you the biggest returns. But at the same time, make sure you spend enough time with the small problems to make sure they're not symptoms or larger ones, okay? F, once you identify a problem, don't tolerate it. Tolerating a problem has the same consequences as failing to identify it, whether you tolerate because you believe it cannot be solved, because you don't ever care enough to solve it, or because you can't master enough of whatever it takes to solve it. If you don't have the will to succeed, then your situation is hopeless. You need to develop a fierce intolerance of badness of any kind, regardless of its severity. Okay, so very important that if you lack knowledge, you lack experience, don't tolerate it. Practice. Put on more trades. Put on more real trades. Put on more demo trades. Backtest the system. Make me wrong. Let's see if the actual issue is the actual methodology itself. What is it that we can evolve to make the methodology better? So don't just believe on what I say. Don't just believe what other people say. Don't just believe what news says. Find facts. Find different resources, information. Okay, so these are the things that you need to improve on if inconsistency in terms of trading or profitability is a major issue, especially if you want to achieve what you want to achieve in 2019. Do you find that helpful in step number 2? Do you know exactly what to do? Yes, no? Okay.
Definitely.
Perfect. Step 3, diagnose problems to get at the root causes. So first, I want you to focus on what is before deciding what to do about it. So what is your current situation? Say here, it is a common mistake to move in a nanosecond from identifying a tough problem to proposing a solution for it. Strategic thinking requires both diagnosis and design. A good diagnosis typically takes between 15 minutes and an hour. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the part to get at the root cause. Yep. And how complex the issue is. It involves speaking with the relevant people and looking at the evidence together to determine the root cause. All right, very important based from there. B, distinguish proximate causes from root causes. What is proximate causes? Well, proximate causes are typically the actions or lack of actions. So you need to be an action taker, guys, okay? Procrastinating doesn't help. So that lead to problems. So if you take action to the problem that you have rather than ignoring it, then you can find a solution to the cause of the problem. All right, so they're described with verbs. I missed the train because I didn't check the train schedule. Guess what? That also happens to me sometimes. Ooh, what happened to me yesterday? I missed my coaching with my athlete in Mexico. Why? Because I was too busy doing other things rather than putting and checking my phone. And so that is now my fault. That's part of my responsibility. So how can now I be able to do for the next one so it won't happen again? Put it back into my scheduling in my calendar and have an alarm, an alert system. All right, so root causes run much deeper and they're typically described with adjectives. I didn't check the train schedule because I am forgetful. So I am forgetful. So remember, if you keep saying to yourself, I am forgetful, I'm forgetful, the subconscious will only distinguish the word forgetful, like a pair of prayers. So make sure rather than saying, you have very good memory. I will remember to call. I will remember to schedule this. I will remember to check the schedule so I won't miss the train. Okay, so you can only truly solve your problems by removing the root causes. And to do that, you must distinguish the symptoms from the disease that makes you unease. All right? So after this workshop, I want you to go through all this process, this write it down exactly what are the issues that you were facing this year. What are the problems that you have, and what are the root causes? Like I said, need coaching, get a coach. Need more training, get educated. Need more practice, put in trades. Have at least a narrative. Schedule your workload. Remember, guys, trading is a business. It is not a hobby. C, recognize that knowing what someone, including you, is like will tell you what you can expect from them. What does it mean? You will have to get over your reluctance to assess what people are like if you want to surround yourself with people who have the qualities you need. That goes for yourself too. In other words, if you're hanging around negative people, please stay away from negative people. Don't be judgmental. Don't disrespect. Just create a distance. Focus on the focus that will add value to yourself, that will help you achieve your goal. Make it that way. Stay away from, we call it the blind leading the blind. If you're learning from someone and you're talking to someone else as well who have almost the same trading system, guess what? You have the same result. It wouldn't change. If you're just focusing on technical analysis or system way too much, it wouldn't work. And this is why I'm telling you. Remember about the tennis coach was telling you? He gave me when I met up with him, he gave me a copy of what he does with his tennis. Very interestingly enough, when I was talking with him, check it. You want to be successful, and this is why the program is very successful, is simply because of the 3 aspects and conditioning. Look, see, he talks about technique. He talks about physical training, and he talks about mental training. If your focus is only technique, you don't have physical and mental, would it work? No. Why? Because you're missing 2 and 3. So if you have lousy technique, but you have good mental training, then work on your technique. Maybe perhaps it's also both mental and technique needs to go hand in hand. If you don't have the endurance, you get distracted, or you don't have the strength, your lack of focus because you're not drinking right. See here, hydration, you're not stretching, you get pains. Do you think the brain can function? No, it cannot, right? That's right. It has to be within those 3 pillars within that triangle in order for things to work. So by recognizing that knowing what someone, including you, is like will tell you what you can expect from them. So sometimes also being direct in class, part of my expectation is this. At the end of the day, we're all adults. If they don't do it, hey, it's not my problem. At the end of the day, it's your problem, because it is you who needs to change, not me. I'm just guiding you to go to the next level, right? So sometimes, and this is what happens, is the majority of retail traders are not aware of this because they have been pushed way too much in regards to trading system. Well, and then if it's not working, who do they blame? They blame the system, or they blame the teacher, or they blame, and then at the end of the day, they're not looking that the actual issue is here. It's them, right? So go through the whole process. What is it that's not really working? Is it me, or is it the system? Like I said, if it's the system, make me wrong. Don't believe in what just I say. Make sure to find evidence and say, hey, Renaud, it didn't work. Why? Then we have to go through it objectively. All right, step number 4 this is where you design a plan. Designing your planning in regards to a successful goal. Go back before you go forward. What does it mean by this? Well, replay the story of where you have been or what you have done that led up to where you are now, and then visualize what you and others must do in the future so you will reach your goals. I've been saying this for more than a decade. Visualization, meditation is an important element. Trading is also the same. When you're trading, it is imperative to visualize. Okay. B, think about your problem as a set of outcomes produced by a machine. So machine, he dictates as you. You are being the machine. So practice higher level thinking by looking down on your machine and thinking about how it can be changed to produce better outcomes. So machine is mainly you as an individual, your behavior, your pattern. Then if you can create and if you can acknowledge that, you can change that, then your outcome will actually change. C, remember that there are typically many paths to achieving your goals. You only need to find one that works and then continue repetitively. Goes to D, think of a plan that is being like a movie script and that you visualize who will do it or who will do what through time, okay, by going through over and over again. And then E, write down your plan for everyone to see and to measure your progress against. Hence, that's why the group coaching class is so important, is for you to create that, show it to me, show it to everyone, and then to measure the progress, okay? Very important. F, recognize that it doesn't take a lot of time to design a good plan. Typically, it only should take you less than 15 minutes. Alrighty, last but not the least, push through to completion by following through. Great planners who don't execute their plans go nowhere. Good work habits are vastly underrated. Establish clear metrics to make certain that you're following your plan. So make sure to be a doer. Make sure to take massive action, right? So very important. In summary, all 5 steps proceed from your values. Values are, remember, what is important to you, that determine what you want, your goals. The 5 steps are iterative. So when you complete one step, you will have acquired information that will most likely lead you to modify the other steps. And when you've completed all 5, then you'll start again with a new goal, right? It's actually, for me to create one goal, it took me to put everything this down. It took me more than an hour actually to get it done because of the inner steps, like finding the root causes of why, what's happening. Why did I lose? Why am I not following my own rules? Why wasn't being no longer disciplined? Okay, all these things. So important point, you need to synthesize and shape well the first 3 steps: setting goals, identifying problems, and diagnosing them, or synthesizing, which means knowing where you want to go and what's really going on, designing solutions, and making sure the design are implemented are shaping. So last pointers, remember that weaknesses don't matter if you find solutions. A, look at the patterns of your mistakes and identify which step in the 5-step process you typically fall. B, everyone has at least one big thing that stands in the way of their success. Find yours and deal with it. Understand your own and others' mental maps and humility. I actually recorded this, so I will email it to you. I'll give you basically the link. And if you have any questions, please email me here and then we can discuss it again. Maybe we can do another class sometime next week or during the group coaching class, and we'll discuss it more, see how you went with it. All right, do you have any questions? Sorry, I gotta cut it really quick because we're gonna go through to the next class, okay? All right, guys, I will see you on the next one.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.